Hi, and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name's Chris, and it's fantastic to have you back with us for another video. And in today's video, we're going to have a look at Bitcoin. We're going to have a look at some of the charts, but looking at it from more a fundamental viewpoint and macro viewpoint rather than technical analysis. But ultimately, I've got some really interesting data to take a look at, and you guys can make your own mind up. Obviously, it's a very, very difficult market to predict at the moment. We had a pump yesterday, and we do kind of feel that that's a bit of a fake pump, a trap, of sorts. So it's still a market that we need to be really, really careful. We do think we have more downside to come. So just be careful out there, right? And obviously, this is just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. You should treat this as educational purposes only. But I have got some really interesting data to take a look at. I've noticed that a lot of influencers are disappearing right now. Obviously, it's a challenging market. Sometimes it's better to disappear than it is to be wrong. But ultimately, we're going to be transparent and open with you about what our thoughts and our opinions are on the market. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be bang on, spot on, correct. And I think anybody that reckons they can do that is just lying through their teeth. So if you enjoy this sort of content, mash up that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, tapping that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video. And let's sort of delve into everything that I've got to have a look at. So we're going to start with coin market cap, and we're currently at 1.74 trillion, down 0.18% decrease in the last 24 hours. Now, I have been tweeting out this morning, is it a trap? I think it's probable, and we're now down 3.54% and 6.6% for the week, and we're well beneath $38,000 now for Bitcoin at 37,405.31. So I think so far we've been pretty accurate with what we were trying to suggest. Obviously, Nick put some TA out that yesterday before the Fed announcement, and we were kind of feeling that we were going to pull back rather than get the pump that we saw. But the pump was always a possibility, and we've talked about that in our Discord and with our Patreon members, that ultimately, we thought it was more probable to go down than it was to go up. But there were, some changes in, people's shorting and longing the market. So that may have had an impact between doing the video and, when the Fed meeting happened. But ultimately, we have called that we believe this to be, a fake out, and we were expecting a pullback. I think we're starting to see signs of that. We do expect further downside, but this is just our opinion. Right, let's have a look at some of the data. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight, again, we've been talking about, Bitcoin leaving the exchanges, but we have been sort of monitoring the Bitcoin wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin in them. And we have seen that decrease over the coming, day or so. So, potentially whales have, benefited from the small breakout that we've had, and ultimately that's generated a pocket of liquidity for them to be able to sell. So maybe they've just dumped a little bit on retail. It's possible, and probably probable. So yeah, just one to be aware of, right? We're monitoring these things. However, with all that said, Bitcoin is still leaving the exchanges. And again, it's really low. If we sort of drag this out, I think it's the lowest it's been since 2018. So, we go back here, I think, you're talking September 2018. So, still pulling off the exchanges, which is obviously building a squeeze on the supply. The other thing to add, and I mentioned this in a previous video, is the miners aren't selling their Bitcoin either. Again, just generating more of a squeeze on the supply. Ultimately, they're selling options, which is really interesting. It's the first time I've seen them do that. Not to suggest that it is the first time they've done it, but it's the first time I've seen them do it. Now, the volume from exchanges has been a bit choppy, but ultimately it's not super high. The other thing that I like to look at, and I think is really important, is not just the adoption, and we'll come on to the adoption in a moment within the crypto space in particular, but the amount of work that is happening in the background, right? And it looks like a number of these projects have been super busy, throughout March, well, February, March and April, right? you know, you can see the amount of commits, and commits are basically, you know, jobs that they've been doing, you know, building basically, and you can see CardStarter, Solana, Internet Computer, and many others, right? So it's definitely worth taking a look at some of this. Again, I think it's an interesting and important metric to monitor. The other thing that I want to talk about is the strength of the dollar, and this again is something that I covered in a previous video. I did say that I thought it was going to lose some of its dominance. I did, you know, mention in a previous video that, you know, there's benefits, but there's also, you know, I guess some negatives when it comes to having, you know, a strong dollar, right? And some of those benefits are that the residents in the US benefit from, I guess, you know, a stronger dollar in order to, you know, I guess for purchasing power, right? So for imports, it's fantastic, but not so great for exports, right? When the pound, the euro, and various other currencies are losing power, or strength, should I say, is probably the better word, against the dollar, right? So I did kind of say in the previous video I expected this to pull back. The other thing that I didn't cover though, and is of interest, right, is a correlation that I found between when we're kind of near these highs. So we say March 2020. If we actually have a look at Bitcoin, right, and you know, I guess the bull run or the bottom of the market, I think that kind of, you know, shows here. So 20th of March, you know, we're right down here somewhere, right, like down in the lows. Now a year later we start going on these bull runs, and you know, that kind of correlates with the high of the US dollar. And I guess what am I hinting at here, right, is, you know, maybe when we get to these sort of peaks here, we start to see that purchasing power being utilized in order to purchase more assets, right? Be that gold, be that bonds, be that stock, be that, you know, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, whatever, you know, crypto asset it is that they're looking at. And, you know, it correlates roughly very similar sort of days. You wanted to go take a look at if you, you know, want to have a look more at the, I guess the correlation between the strength of the dollar and cryptocurrency. Just an interesting metric that I thought to look at. The other thing obviously is adoption, and again I think we're seeing lots of adoption when it comes to cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and Binance are basically supporting Elon Musk with the 44 billion Twitter bid. And ultimately, what does this mean for crypto? I think it's quite exciting. We're going to see people, you know, being able to pay and earn, you know, ad revenue in cryptocurrency. Are we going to start to see more integrations with some of the shit coins that Elon Musk really rates and talks about quite highly? Lots of possibilities. And again, I think this is positive for cryptocurrency, but do let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comments below. The other thing to mention is obviously Gucci now accepting cryptocurrency. Again, really interesting, not one that I'm going to read through, but again, it kind of demonstrates the adoption of cryptocurrency within the real world, right? I think it's really starting to take off. And then Binance, you know, France becomes the first big European nation to grant crypto giant Binance regulatory approval. And again, I think this is really bullish for cryptocurrency, the adoption of cryptocurrency. I'd like to see Binance being, you know, more forthcoming with advertisements and stuff like that to get more people in. But we are seeing that with like Algorand sponsoring the World Cup, Crypto.com sponsoring the World Cup, you know, in different ways, but, you know, still sponsoring the World Cup and stuff like this. So I think there's lots when it comes to adoption, and I really do like to highlight these things. So I guess to summarize, what are my thoughts on the crypto space? One, it's a very difficult market at the moment to navigate safely. But with all of that said, I do think that, you know, we're going to see further pullback. I think that's something, you know, it is a given. You know, it might not be immediate, it might take some time, but ultimately I look at these as opportunities. And, you know, the reason why I look at it like this is the time horizon in which I'm looking to invest over is a long-term approach. I'm not here for quick money. I'm here to hodl, dollar cost average into the market. Again, I'm not like some of the others in the space. I'm less concerned about, making mistakes and buying at resistance and stuff like that. I'm more focused on the accumulation, on the bigger pullbacks, right? And I think we're getting close to that bottom. I think there's a little bit more to go. Ultimately, if the stock market falls, or anything happens in real world, that's going to have huge implications on all of the different markets, be it gold, metals, stocks, all of this stuff, right? Cryptocurrency, they're all going to feel that pain. But ultimately, if you're invested in solid projects, and they've got great utility, great teams, and a great use case, and they've got that community base, I think they're ultimately going to do well. Obviously, not everything is going to survive, but I think you only really need a few projects to really break out and do really, really well. And I think it's all about the fundamentals for me. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comments below. Really interested to know. I expect further downside. Ultimately, that might not happen immediately. We might have a few bounces. It's not a straight line down as much as it's not a straight line up. You need to be very careful in this space. It's a very volatile market. And, just look at it now. This is the time to be engaged. This isn't the time for influencers to be disappearing. This is, the time to be accumulating, in my humble opinion. Not right now, like literally like after a big pump, but what I'm saying is look at technical analysis, find the buy zones for the projects that you've invested your time and researched, and they resonate with you, and those are the ones that you've chosen to purchase because of your own research, not from what influencers are saying. But ultimately, this is the time to be more engaged in crypto, more engaged in researching projects and looking at where you expect crypto to be a year from now. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, mash up that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, tapping that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.